Hi, today we're going to be looking and learning about how common objects like doors work in different parts of our bodies. So, the first thing we're going to look at are what are joints? Now, if you haven't heard about what are joints before, they're basically parts of your body that help your body bend. And a joint specifically is the location between two bones. So if we look at the picture here, we see that this one is a bone and this one is a bone. So here's a region where the two bones meet, and that's why we call it a joint. And can you catch where there's another joint in this picture? Yeah, that would be right here. Because here we see that this is a bone, and this is a bone, and this is where they meet. So this would be considered a joint. So here, this is actually your knee bone. So if you think about it, you can bend your knee like when you're kicking or when you're sitting down. Your knee, you bend your knee when you sit down or you bend your knee when you kick. So that's where it moves. And for this one doesn't move as much, but since it's still two bones touching each other, we call it a joint. Now we're going to be thinking about like descriptions of a joint. So we're going to be looking at how bones stay in place. And this picture kind of gives a hint because this is the same picture as before. As you can see, it has like this little triangular object right here. We see it again over here. So we know that this is a bone and this is a bone. And this is like the little bone that we saw right here. And it's here again. But now we have a couple more pieces to look at. This is the muscle. And we're gonna try to look at how bones stay in their place and how we know, because you know that how your bones stay inside your skin and inside your body. Like your hand doesn't just like fly off of your arm when you like wiggle your hands. So we're gonna be looking at how these bones stay in place. Yep, so these bones stay in place through items called ligaments. And ligaments are kind of like these stringy objects. So we know that your bones don't just magically stay together. They have to be connected somehow. So ligaments are kind of like pieces of tape. So they tape this top bone to the second bone, and this piece of tape keeps them attached to one another. Otherwise, they would just completely separate. And we could see another ligament here connecting this big bone to this small, thin bone, and then ligaments over here too. So they kind of look stringy and they help keep bones together. So now we're going to be looking at what happens when you injure a ligament. So you might have heard of this before, and it's the word sprain. Like you might have heard someone say, "Oh, I sprained my wrist," or "Oh, I sprained my ankle." So specifically, and you yourself may have actually sprained a wrist or sprained an ankle or sprained another part of your body. And we're going to be looking at what a sprain actually is. So as you remember, ligaments connect bones to one another and they restrict movement. So they basically keep the bones in place and keep them from moving in weird directions. They keep bones connected to one another. So when you're moving around and you're playing sports, ligaments can sometimes get stretched and torn because, you might, if you like move your foot around, you can move your toes up, you can move your toes down, you can move your foot around in circles, and it kind of has like those defined movements. But let's say, for example, that you bend your foot too far down or too far up, that's gonna stretch these ligaments that connect your leg bones to your foot bones. And if you stretch these ones too much, they can get overstretched or torn if they're stretched too far. And basically, when that happens, that's called a sprain. Hi, scientists. Today, we're going to be looking at how to model ligaments. For this activity, you will need a marker, 2 popsicle sticks, scissors, and glue. So first we're going to be working with the 2 popsicle sticks. For one of the popsicle sticks, you're going to cut this in half. So you have one popsicle, one regular popsicle length stick, and one half stick. So now you're going to grab your marker, and for the shorter piece, you're going to write the word foot, just like that. And you're going to make sure to write this on both sides of the stick, so you always know. So foot and foot. And for the longer stick, that's going to be the leg. So I'm going to put leg. On the other side, I'm going to put leg. So we have our longer stick, which is the leg, and the shorter stick, which is the foot. And these popsicle sticks are going to be representing the bone of your leg bone and your foot bone. Now we're going to use our marker, and we are going to draw a circle. So for the foot bone, where you kind of have not the curved part, but the flat part, is where you're going to draw a circle here, and you're going to flip it over and draw a circle also on the same side where it's flat. So when you have your leg bone, you're going to choose the side. So I'm going to choose this side. So I'm going to draw a circle at this end, flip it over, draw another circle here. So now we're going to make an L shape with the leg bone going up and down and the foot bone going left and right. So now you're going to grab your glue and put a dot of glue on inside the circle. Alrighty, so now you're going to grab your paper towel and you're going to draw out a rectangle. And you're going to cut out this rectangle out of the paper towel. So then you're going to grab your leg stick and your foot stick. You're going to grab your glue and you're going to be putting a dot of glue in each circle. Now, with the paper that you cut out, you are going to place it over the dots of glue. And you're going to let that dry. And this paper towel is going to connect the 2 sticks to one another. After this towel has dried on the popsicle sticks, we're going to flip it around and do the same thing. We're going to apply glue into the circles. We're going to grab the rectangle paper towel that we cut out, and we're going to cover the paper towel over the glue, and we're going to make sure that the long leg is up and down and the foot for the short stick is left to right. Once our model is dried, we can play around with the ankles and simulate motion. For example, what does the foot look like when it's walking around? Might go heel to toe, And that might be one way it looks like when you are walking around. Now let's think of another example, like what happens when you twist your ankle. Has anyone seen someone twist their ankle before? And we can think about what that looks like. For me, I think it looks like when you twist your ankle is maybe your foot like falls to the side, and if you can see that, the paper towel is going to tear off of the bone. So as you can see, the ligament or the paper towel is no longer attached to the foot, or as in this case, this is foot bone. So when we twisted the ankle, the ligament separated from the bone, and that is what happens. So that's, in that case, we saw that the ligament tore off of the bone. So this is an example of a sprain. So if we thought about it, like when we went back to when they were connected, we saw that they connected the bone together. So like when we were walking, when we were simulating walking, the paper towels kept the bones from separating apart. But when there's too much stress to the area, like when we twisted the ankle, the ligaments completely ripped off of the bone and are no longer able to connect together. So if we try walking again, like it's just gonna fall off. So clearly the ligaments no longer serving its purpose, and that's what happens. So ligaments limit motion, so when they're ripping, they can't do that anymore. So now we can think about like what happens and what are the differences. Like for example, would you rather have a foot where the ligaments connect the bones to one another, or where they're ripped off of one another? So you can kind of think about like, would you rather be uninjured or injured? We can also think about what a sports medicine specialist might do. So in this case, if your ligament has torn, a sports medicine specialist would help with the repair and help with making sure that the ligaments can reattach to the bone, and so you can walk again like normal.